come back to the weight room. I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, I really, really appreciate you having me.
If you just want to kind of introduce yourself and maybe a little bit of background, just stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, my name is Aaron Ochoa, and I spent a better half, about 20 years. I retired from the Army as Sergeant First Class. And before the Army, I grew up in a small town, Eastern Kentucky, who's Prestonsburg. Nothing there. So I didn't see any cities or anything until I joined the Army. And then I actually saw a big city. I saw, bigger things and different diversity and variety of things. After the Army, I did my military career. After the Army, when I retired, I wanted to come back here. I wanted to live because growing up where I grew up, the Wildcats, Kentucky Wildcats, are the best thing in the world. So when I retired, then people are like, "Are you crazy? You're gonna move to Kentucky after you retire? You can go anywhere in the world. You want to go to Kentucky?" I was like, "You guys have no idea. Like Rupp Arena and the football stadium, all that stuff is like a mecca to us." So it's like I retired and I moved back here. And once I moved here, I found a good gym. It's called Ford's Fitness, and it's here in Lexington. And they took me in, and like they really kind of the owners. It's a local gym, and it's the owners kind of they're older couple, so they took me in, like kind of acted like I was a son to them, and I helped them around the gym and cleaned up and helped do membership things and stuff like that. And it worked out for them because where I was retired, I didn't really require any pay. I could do it for free just so I could work out, have someone to work out. So I started working out in there, and just everything grew from there. The powerlifting stuff and everything just went from there.
So you went into it kind of as something to do, and then you really got into it.
Yeah, no. When I was in the Army, when I started everything out, like I started lifting in high school as a football, but like I don't count that because I could barely bench the bar. So I'm probably the weakest kid on the team. I'm fast, but I couldn't bench 75 pounds. So it's like I wanted to do it, and I enjoyed lifting with the guys and the weight room stuff. But I thought my body was like, there's no way I can, my physical stature can do it, because all my buddies are benching, at least a 25 on each side, and then, maybe a 35 or a 45 on each side. Here I am with 10s. So it's like, oh, I don't know if this is what I need to be doing or not. So, but then, after that, when I joined the Army, I did PT stuff. So I wasn't really working out then. I wasn't really training a lot then. It was just more push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups to pass the PT test and the physical portion of the Army. So then once the first deployment I had, it was a 6-monther to Kosovo. And it was my first first experience with, I have no family to, like, I could go home and see my family, and I have this and all this outside distractions. All it was is like missions and then gym. And they, of course we had like a makeshift gym that everybody made up there. And so that was my first taste of like actual forming a habit with the gym, and that with working out, just, in general, not just like a focus on powerlifting or anything, just a general habit, forming a habit to just to train and lift some weights.
Did you find maybe your body was just slower to develop?
Even now, like I'll tell you, like I just now, probably the last 2 years, have actually taken it serious to where it's like the recovery and the food nutrition is super uber important, that it's like that's changed my life now. So like back then I was like, I can eat 2 Big Macs and some fries and some shakes and stuff, and I was eating nowhere near what I should have been eating, even as a teenager growing up trying to lift weights. So I just feel like I wasn't taking anything serious to where I didn't listen to the coaches saying, hey, you got to eat so many calories so we can bulk you up and stuff. And I honestly didn't have any drive or motivation to do it at that time. I've been training, like I retired in 2015 and it's 2020 now. I probably didn't start taking my recovery and my nutrition serious until, and it's probably not even 2 years, 3 years max, 2.5 years, I started taking it serious. And in that little bit of time that I started taking it serious, I could see night and day difference in my training. Everything was there for me. It was laid out in front of me. Like at my gym, I train with, I don't train with him, but he's real close to me. His name is Sean Smith. He's a pro bodybuilder, and he changed at Ford's. And this guy was like giving me nutrition plans, like saying, hey man, do this. I'm not a powerlifter, I'm a bodybuilder, but this is common sense stuff. If you do this instead of doing that, it's going to help you tremendously. And I just was I don't know why now. It's just stupid or lazy or whatever it is I didn't take it. And he would get on to me. Everybody at the gym would get on to me saying like, at that time I'm 41 now. So at that time I was 36, 37. And it's like, you're not getting any younger. So if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. You're not like these other young guys that are powerlifting, and they have time to make mistakes. They have time to eat Big Macs. And my favorite was the Baconator. I was like, I could eat a Baconator with 65 grams of protein in it, and I'm good to go for training. And that was my mindset. And so it's like, they're like, well, no, you're not 25. You're not even 35. You're 40, you're 37, you're 38. So your window of opportunity is smaller than everybody else's. So you need to start listening and buckling down.
Yes. Understanding your opportunity.
Because I feel like I could see other people progressing, and I see other people, like, not so much that I trained with, but like on Instagram, on social media, I've seen people that talk about their diet and talk about this, what they do on a daily basis. And they're getting stronger. They're PRing, and they're, on the platform doing really well. And then when I actually felt it myself, and I did it for like, I told myself I'm going to do this, and I'm going to set my mind to doing it for, I want to say 3 months. I did it 3 months straight diet, straight training. I wasn't really powerlifting per se, training for a meet, but I was still trying to train heavy to stay strong. But I stuck to the diet, and that was once I experienced it for myself and saw, wow, this is so crazy how awesome, and how much better I feel, how much stronger I'm getting. And if I can and then it makes you think, you're like, well, now if I can put it all together, like my training with a good program, and now my nutrition, my sleep, I see it, sky's the limit now.
Back to kind of your military days, you were going in and you starting off, and you're doing, you're just trying to pass the PT test, and you're doing a lot of body weight stuff, not so much the weights. How was your mindset towards fitness at that point versus when you actually started and you said you got to work out in kind of like a makeshift gym?
Yeah. Okay. I think at the beginning I was doing it just to pass the PT test for my job, but the Army was my job. So it's like, I was doing the stuff required, waking up at 6:30 in the morning, which sucked, and doing running 4 miles and doing all the stuff we have to do. I'm doing it for my job. So A, I can get promoted, take care of my family, and B, I can, it helps the Army become easier for you, because in the Army, whenever any service, I don't know any other service, but the Army for sure is like, if you're a stellar performer in PT, they look at that as part of your promotion, and it'll set you apart from peers if your PT's higher. So they look at your PT card, look at your scores, look what you're doing, and it helps you get promoted faster. So, then when you get promoted, obviously you make more money, and so on and so forth. All I was thinking about that time was just a job. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy getting up at 6:30 running. I didn't enjoy doing push-ups. I didn't enjoy doing pull-ups, but I just did it because I know I had to do it, because it was my job.
What was it like whenever you talked about you got to work out in that, like, a makeshift gym?
It was eye-opening for me, and I'm glad I had that opportunity to do that, because I feel like if I would have stayed at, if I didn't go that time and deploy at that time, I would have stayed, on Fort. I was in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, is where I was at for 12 years. And they have state-of-the-art gyms there, like awesome gyms. And I probably could count on one hand how many times I stepped foot on there in a year. It was, I never went to the gym ever, because, when I'm home, I have friends, and you're partying, you're doing this and that, and this and that, and this and that. So then when I was there, and it was like they made a specific tent for us, and they had people donate. So we had like dumbbells and a bench, and like we made our own pulley system for pull downs and stuff. But it was at that when we were deployed, it's like you're either doing a mission, you're doing your job, or you're at the gym, or you're sitting in the rack in your tent missing your family. So like I kind of used it as to help at the beginning to like take my mind off of missing being home and missing my family and stuff. But then once I started doing it, then it started changing. At that point, it's like, wait a minute, I'm getting stronger. I can do 185 on the bench. I wasn't training. There was no squat racks or anything, so I wasn't doing any legs. But I was like, wait a minute, I can be good at this. I can do good at this. I can, if I stay dedicated and I do it as a habit, as a routine, like I'm doing here, because I'm forced to. I was forced to do it at that time just so I don't miss my family. Right. But then probably 3 months into it, I was like, whoa, this is definitely what I want to. I want to do this. I want to keep and stay in the gym and stay healthy. So I started buying like Flex magazine and the stuff that we could get over there at the PXs that they had over there. And I wanted to be those guys at that time. I wanted to be a bodybuilder. I wanted to try to get, just be bigger and be a big guy at that time. But I know I definitely wanted to be, after having lifted like that, I definitely wanted to be fit. And not just for my job now. Now I wanted to go do my PT, do my running, but I wanted to go above and be, look better and be bigger.
At what point did it switch from I want to be a more bodybuilding type to I want to do powerlifting?
It's funny that because that deployment, and then I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan numerous times and stuff, but I want to say in 2005 was the first time that I was introduced to like in the Army. This is going to be embarrassing in the Army, and I think it's in everywhere. Except we were on a Marine base, but they call it the 1,000-pound club. So you do, and that's like a big thing. Well, I mean, I can't knock it because we still have to be able to run 2 miles in 14 minutes.
Yes.
And I couldn't run a mile in 10 minutes right now. My cardio is so bad. But it was the 1,000-pound club I was introduced to 1,000-pound club. So I started training to do with the same mindset that I had from my previous deployments, to where now I know I won't miss my family as bad if I'm in here training all the time. And I'm forced to eat whatever they give us, so I can eat a bunch of junk food.
Right.
So I started getting stronger. I started squatting, introduced to squatting, and then deadlifting. And then once I got into that, I saw myself, I was stronger than some of the other guys that were not just my age, but just overall. I was, being able to get on the board, they call it, and I got to made the 1,000-pound club. So I think in 2005, I was like, I want to do this. I wasn't really like researching it and studying like I was because at that time, I didn't know that there was any kind of powerlifting magazine but I just, so I was still buying the Flex magazines, but I used it to try to get stronger and try to be able to still do my job and still be a stellar PT person, a physical fitness person. But I still wanted to be strong. That's when I started saying, hey, I can still do this to an extent and I can get stronger.
What was the time frame between you starting to take it seriously and then you reaching that 1,000-pound club?
It took me because we were there for 12 months, and the 1,000-pound club thing was there when I got to the camp. So I probably didn't reach the 1,000-pound club until probably before we left. Because honestly, too, is I was I hate to admit this, but I was scared to do it. I was scared to go in front of it's not even in front of a crowd like we do now. Now it's like, but it was like 10 people max. And I just had some fear of I guess not being able to get in to do it. So I was scared to always test my skills against that competition so I could get myself on that board. So I'm not saying I could have done it at the beginning, because I know my squats and deadlifts and my bench is still the weakest, but I know I wouldn't have been able to make it to the board at the beginning. So I started training with a couple guys, some Marines that were there. And I'd say in that same year, I made the board probably, take that back. I don't think I made the board. I don't think I made the 1,000-pound club in 2005. No, that's accurate. I didn't make it because I didn't ever hardly squat, and I never deadlifted ever. So I didn't make it. I was pretty close, and I think I might have been able to make it. But again, I was scared to attempt it in 2005. That's what it was. Yeah. So, but I wanted to do it, and I wanted to be on that 1,000-pound club. But I knew I wasn't strong enough at that time, and I was kind of timid to do that, do that kind of thing.
So that's pretty cool though, to make that kind of that progress in that short amount of time.
That was the whole driving force behind me wanting to become a powerlifter, is that 1,000-pound club.
Yeah.
Because every deployment, everywhere you go, every camp, so the gyms that they would make, then the gyms were pretty nice at that time. At the beginning, they were makeshift, like I was telling you, but like after 2005 and 2008 and all that, or after that, they were pretty nice gyms. I could rival some gyms around, in the States here.
Gotcha.
So then after that, it was like, I want to be on that 1,000-pound club. I want to be there. So after I came back in 2005 and 2006, I trained. And then again, I don't think I made the 1,000-pound club, to be honest with you, because I was still afraid to do it. Because I went back in 2008 to 2009. And then I think the 4 years that I went was in between 2008, 2009, 10, 11, and 12. And I went twice in there. The time after 2005, 2006 that I went the first time, I didn't make it. They had one there. I was training for it, and I was definitely getting stronger. then I started understanding how somewhat powerlifting programs ran, but I was still doing it's so hard to think about now, like pyramids, like 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1
Right.
on everything I did every time I trained. So it's like I didn't a small understanding, but nothing compared to what it is now. And then the third Iraq trip, it was the Scorpion Club at that time. They upgraded to a Scorpion Club, still 1,000 pounds, and I'm pretty sure in 2010 when I finally made the board, and it was like I think I was still bench 315 because pause benching is so crazy if you don't train it. So when I first started figuring out how to pause bench, I was like, this sucks. So I think I did a 315 bench, 320, 315, 20. And then for whatever reason, the way I trained and the way my legs were strong from rucking, from doing road marches and stuff, my deadlift just shot straight up back big time. So I think I squatted 405 and I deadlifted 500, 505. Because I remember there was a guy, hopefully he listens to this. He deadlifted 500, but he was a heavyweight guy. He was a big guy than me. And I wanted to beat him, so I did the little chip and I did 505 till I could beat him. I'm a firm believer in the mental side of this is so much greater than like, I don't want to put a number on it and say mental, physical, but super uber important is having the right frame of mind. My best lift is probably the deadlift, but I love and I think the squat is my favorite lift because there's like I call it a fruit bowl of emotions. It's a big bowl of emotions. And it's like you're not just going in there like getting crazy and getting amped up. It's like you have to have controlled aggression.
Yeah.
Because if you miss a cue and you're doing heavier singles or doubles, whatever, and if you miss a cue and you just go under it, just lazy and not thinking, you can get yourself injured very, 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 badly. And I think that fear is in that big fruit bowl is one of the emotions that you have. It's like it kind of gives you that extra push. It unlocks your mind, pushes like I got a little bit of fear here. Like if I don't do this correct, bad things can happen. So let's just use that fear and that controlled aggression to help me do what I got to do to get the lift. And my training partners, they taught me a lot to visualize, my lifts and visualize the attempt. And I think the word they use, you can see it in my eyes too. Some of my videos now, when I unrack the bar, I use the word timid instead of fear. Like timid is like, I just don't believe in myself.
Yeah.
And to me, that's when I use, and I'm timid to when I get on the bar. Fear is like, I know I can do it, but I know that little extra thing in my head is like, I have a fear factor coming in there because if I don't do it right, this might be my last time doing this, and I don't want that to happen.
Right.
I want the fear of me not being able to train anymore because I messed up something that I did on my own is, that right there pushes me to make sure that I use the fear in the right way.
What motivates you now to lift?
It's crazy because like my whole life, even though it's maybe sounds contradicting because I said I was afraid to get on do those 1,000 pound clubs, but like I'm a super competitive person. Like my personality and the way I am, I'm a super competitive person. So I feel like just the fact that I have something to compete at and I have something to do, the sport to do, motivates me to no end, at just the beginning of me being motivated. And then, I have I'm 41, like I said, and I've started on this late. I started the powerlifting game later than most guys, but I don't feel like I'm getting I feel like I'm getting stronger every time I train. I feel I'm training. I got a good coach. I'm training right. I'm, finally taking the nutrition, the recovery right. So I think, one of the biggest motivators for me is just seeing how far I can go with it, seeing how far I can ride this train and how strong I can get and how relevant I can become in the sport. Like I'm a realist. I know that I'm not, a top tier guy and but I want to just see that motivates me, to no end to see just how good I can be and how far I can go with this. In my mind, I feel great. I feel like I can compete for another, 5 to 6 years. I have some short-term goals I want to do in those 5 to 6 years. So I want to do it as long as I can in that time. But like you said, when I transition, like I want to try to open up my own facility so I can bring coaches in and bring people in to train. And I just, I just open the facility for them to train and do all that stuff in. but I want to be around it, and that changes the focus a little bit to not me competing, but me having my athletes compete and watching these guys do good. And that's the same. I'll do the same motivation, the same drive toward them being successful as I am toward myself being successful now.
Yeah. And I think it's cool the way, if you never went into the military, would you have found this passion? That's just kind of a cool thing to think about.
Absolutely. I feel like I think about the Army, and because that was my life for 20 years. I didn't know. The only thing I know now is my daughter, the Army, and powerlifting. So it's like I still don't know a lot of other stuff, but it kind of, to me, it's helped me not just fill the void of the Army not being there, but the brotherhood side. Like, you have the passion and stuff that I had in the Army. You develop tight-knit groups with your soldiers, with the people that your peers and all that kind of stuff. But now that I use that now with the team, with my training partners, and like we have a close. I force it to be like a close-knit group because I love that feeling. I love feeling like we would die for each other. We have each other's backs. Granted, I know it's not that serious now because we're powerlifting, but it's still, to me, I use that same intensity and I use that same passion to do what we're doing now, and all of us to be successful, not just me.
Yeah, and certainly just having that passion, and I'm whenever you transition to full time, like wanting to be a coach and wanting to help other people out, that passion is going to help other people too. They can feed off that, and they can see the genuineness that you're trying to share with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I hope too, like I want people to, I want to be known as the guy that granted, he wasn't the strongest guy in the world. He wasn't the strongest guy here or whatever, but he was the hardest worker, and he gave everything for the sport, and he gave everything for his teammates. He loved his teammates, and he wanted to be everybody. He wanted to see everybody succeed. And he's just the guy that was, if you set your mind to something and you work hard and you commit to it and you dedicate to it, you can do whatever you want. There's no limit to what you can do. You
talked a little bit about, you taking your nutrition a little bit more serious. What does that look like for you on a daily basis? Well, how do you treat your nutrition daily?
I do. Mine's so simple. It's like just the basic needs of my body. Like I count my protein and my carbs, my fats, and all that stuff, but I don't do it like to a T. But what thing I do to a T is I make sure that I have the same amount, the portions, like 4 times a day. So I do 6 to 8 ounces of either lean beef or chicken with 4 meals, and I'll do with the same meals. I'll do a cup, 2 cups, if I'm cutting whatever, a cup to 2 cups of rice, and I'll do that 4 times a day. And my breakfast is the same breakfast every morning. It's a simple breakfast: egg whites, oatmeal, and a bagel. So it's it's super simple. Yeah. It's worked for me.
Does that play anywhere mentally?
I've been doing it for so long now that sometimes before, there's a lot of times where I was like, this sucks. I'm not doing it. I can't eat another piece of chicken. I can't eat another piece of beef. But I think to where I'm at now, I think it's not just for me. I think everybody would be like that. If you do it and you push past that part where it sucks and you're like, this is miserable, then it gets easier. And that's in my opinion, that if you do it for so long and you push past the hard and you push past it, it doesn't go away completely. I still have days like that where like, man, this is crap. I wish I could eat something else. But I think for me, it's like knowing the plus, knowing the rewards of doing this outweighs me being miserable. So like, I'll be miserable if I have to do this, eat this food. It's not that bad. The food's not bad that I eat. I got my wife, she seasons it, cooks it good. So it's like, the food's not tasting bad, but it's just, like you said, it's the same thing every day. But if you can just put in your mind that I had to tell myself, I'm not eating for taste. I'm not eating for fun. I'm eating for nutritional value. I'm eating for what I'm going to do tomorrow. And I think if you, during the hard days, if you tell yourself that, then the easier days are easy. You don't have to worry about it. You're like, okay, I can do this. I set my mind to it and I can just do it. And I'm telling you, to me, after I pushed through those times doing it for so long, now it's like 2 hours rolls around. Okay, I know it's time. Keep the tray up and I just go. People want to, I guess, have the fast, the easy way and be like, well, if it doesn't taste good, I can do that. I can just substitute this with some fries or with something else. But if you just sit back and just take a second and think about it when you're cooking your food and you're about to eat it, and you sit back and say, hey, the rewards of me eating this is so much greater than the reward, the not doing it. Like if I choose not to eat this, and I choose to eat something else that's not on my plan, it's not good. It's just setting you back from your goals. You have to understand if you're trying to do something and you're setting some goals, you're trying to get those goals. This right here is this way to do it. You have to set your mind like this is. I know I'm doing it because there's a bigger prize at the end.
Yeah,
I think my mindset is I have to see the end state, what's happening at the end. Like I think 10 steps ahead. So for me, for tomorrow I have a heavy deadlift single. So now I know today, like it's a no fail 100%. I have to get my meals in because I know they will make tomorrow that much easier. Sometimes I'm like, man, this is crap. I'd rather just, and then I'll try to make an excuse. I'll be like, well, I don't have time, but I have time to run to the gas station and buy me some food. Might run to the Wendy's and buy me some food. And I say, well, no, you don't. It takes the same amount. It actually takes more time to get in your car and drive there. For me, the cheat meal, like sometimes, like right now, I'm in a prep. I got a meet coming up October 18th in Chicago, the Power Surge. And when I'm in prep mode, it's like I don't even want the cheat meals because I think in my mind, I'm like, if I eat this cheat meal on the 18th, I'm going to have less power. I'm going to have less strength. I'm going to have less stamina, less energy. So I know I can do without this cheat meal. Let me eat a good meal so I can be better prepared on the 18th.
Yeah.
That's probably a way to think, but I'm just saying you can get to that mind. You don't have to use a powerlifting meet as the mindset. You can use anything like, hey, my six pack will look better at the beach in 2 weeks, in a month, if I skip the cheat meal, and I can take it, suck it right now, so I can look good on the beach in a month. I used to be bad, and sometimes I catch myself doing a little something, but like I said, now I don't even crave it. I don't even think about it. Like I'm bad on monsters, and not monsters, but energy drinks, like the reins and stuff. So that's my vice. That's what I have to pull the reins in and say, hey, it's still a cheat meal. If you drink a freaking can of energy drink, there's so much sugar, so much crap in there that it still counts as a negative towards your body. So don't just think because it's liquid and you're drinking a drink and you think it's giving you energy. I do the little energy. It's still considered a cheat meal, buddy. To be successful in all the fitness games is how you conduct your life outside the gym. Meals, your nutrition, your sleep. So if you can, when you win the battle at that, when you get to the point to where you don't crave it, or you don't have to have it, or you're strict with your meals, you're doing this, or you're thinking of the goals, then you're ahead of the game, and you're gonna be good in this sport. And fitness sport is fitness in anything in the industry. But if you think about it, it's like it takes you minimal effort to meal prep. Like we meal prep here. It takes me minimal. It takes me about an hour to fix the meals that I eat for the day, and then it's not that hard now. It was hard at the beginning, but like it's not that difficult to where you can say, hey, I just can't do it. There's no reason that everybody can say, well, I can't do it. Especially if you want to be successful. You know that this is the way to go. You have to do this to be successful. So when people start thinking that way, like, I'll do whatever it takes to be successful. I'll do whatever it takes to be the best version of myself, which that means I got to do this outside the gym stuff. Then it becomes easy. That's for me. That's how I would think about it.
What do you think holds people back from doing what it takes?
I think just getting started. I think the fear, I guess we'll go back to the fruit bowl, the fear of getting started and the fear of thinking about this is going to it's a change. I think at the end of the day, it's a change in my lifestyle, and nobody wants to change. And then all the stereotypical things that we think about that goes into fitness, like oh my God, this guy's eating. You watch Ronnie Coleman, you watch all these guys eating like big giant balls of chicken and barbecue sauce and stuff, and it's like, so you're getting scared. You're like, I can't not do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. And then you get into that. I don't want to change. It's just easier for me to live like this. I'm healthy enough. And I think that's what stops them from even getting started, is a change and just the fear of thinking about the step one. Some people get there. Like some people, like when you have health concerns, health issues becomes an issue. And it's like, well, now are like, addicts and, alcoholics, stuff like that. Then you are forced to change your lifestyle. And then you go, as opposed to trying to do it before it gets to that point. But some people don't see that. And I sit here and talk like it's easy for me to do it now, because if I didn't join the Army, I'd probably be on the other side. I'd be like, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that, because I didn't have anything to kind of, I don't want to say brainwash, but just like wire my brain to have structure and to have this and to have that and to understand how, your mind can embrace and do things just with your own control. If you set your mind to it and you dig down deep, there's no reason that you can't do it. Like there's none. There's no physical reason that you cannot change and do things like this. I think that some of the best athletes in the world have to have something that wired their brain to think something. Some coach somewhere, some parent, somebody looked up to, somebody encouraged them or wired their brain to think the same, not the same exact, but the same concepts. To, hey, this is what you need to do. This is going to help you. This is what you're going to, and they did it, and they created a habit with it, and that's how they became great. I'm a firm believer in that. I feel like the biggest thing that somebody can not learn, but try to figure it out and try to understand it and try to come to it on their own is your mind. If you can control your mind and you can have your mind work for you, and you can not let your mind work against you and work for you, there's nothing you can't do. I feel like so many times my mind has gotten me in trouble, to where that's the reason why I feel like I'm in pretty decent control of what I do, because it has failed me in the past. I've gotten overcome by fear, overcome by certain things that I look back on. It's like, well, I could have done that if I wasn't afraid. I could have done that if I wasn't this, or I could have done that if I wasn't that. But if I can just focus and train my mind to understand that, my mind will keep going. And if I can just keep going, my body's going to keep going. It's not just going to quit if I just don't tell it to quit. Granted injuries and stuff, but like if you just focus and you have your mindset to where a positive mindset, you can do anything you want to do. And that's, nobody can say, I'm not here to say if you think in your mind you're going to be a 2,000-pound lifter, it's going to happen, because there's a lot that goes with it. But if you don't have the right mind, it doesn't matter if you do all the programming, you do the nutrition, you're not going to make it.
Right.
You have to. That's the key. Number one is you have to have that right mindset. You have to be in the right mindset to say, I'm going to be a winner. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to quit, and I'm going to do everything it takes to reach these goals. Then when you start programming nutrition, then all that stuff becomes subcategories, and then you got yourself a good battle plan there. The other thing is, like, my training partner taught me this, but it's like when you have a setback, when you have an injury, or you have a bad day at the gym, something doesn't go your way. He said you can sit down, you can look at it two ways. As soon as it happens, sit down and look at it two ways. You can either say, hey, it's going to affect me negatively. I'm going to feel sorry for myself. I'm going to let this affect me for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to let this affect the way I treat my family. I'm going to let this affect my life negatively. Or you can say, hey, I can learn from this. I know either it's an injury or you missed rep. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, my cues or my bracing, and I can use that as motivation to come back even stronger on the next rep or the next recovery when I'm recovering from my injury. So, once you have a setback, never let that stuff sit in your brain more than a minute, more than 30 seconds. As soon as that setback does, sit down and understand that it's a tool. It's a tool. It's something to help you learn that it's going to make you better on the other side. Never let it get to you. Never let it consume your mind. use it as a tool, as a motivational tool to help you kick the butt on the rep, or do, follow your cues, follow your bracing, so you make sure that you're safe, and you make the next day even better than it was this time.
It was really good talking to you, and I appreciate you coming on.
Anytime, man. I really, really appreciate you. I can't stress enough how awesome this was.
Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your experience, and also, of course, thank you for your service.
I appreciate it. Anytime. Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
As always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Basically, you can find us on anywhere you can find a podcast. We out.